Hello and welcome to the road to GotY for 2020. We're starting off with the Pathless. I will not be talking spoilers until partway through this game, but there may be some visual spoilers that you will need to know. So if you want to go completely blind into this game, know that I 100% recommend it. This is an incredible game and is very high on my top 10 currently for here. But we're just going to run around for a little bit here. And then when we get to the spoiler section, we're going to start going through the areas. I love the movement in this game. The movement in this game is incredible. It feels so good to just run around and go. There's so much freedom in how you want to get around. Do you want to go for flaps with your bird? Do you want to just want to dash around? Do you want to jump right before you hit one of those so that you get that little boost? How do you want to do it? It's so good. It's also an open world with no map. You have this mode here that you can use. It'll show you points of interest in red or points of interest in blue, depending. As you can see here, it does that little scanning thing, and obviously that's where we're trying to get to, is way up there. But otherwise, it's kind of just go. Find things as you go, figure it out as you go, learn the story of the world as you go, which I very much enjoy. This game, in a lot of ways, was right up my alley, and I'm so glad that I played it. The story is incredible. There's really not much more I can talk about here without going into a spoiler section. Because the starting area is actually like really small. That's your boat. Come all the way back here again. Been a while. But once you kind of get things going, you start just taking off. And the game is pretty short. I think it took me 12 hours to beat it, but I 100%ed it. I did everything in it. In the process. Definitely worth playing, though, in my opinion. Running around, finding these souls of those that came before, and learning the story of the game from them. Finding out more about who the God Slayer is and what's going on there. It's everything I love about putting a plot together as you go. Tied in with an incredible world, tied in with great music. It's really, really solid. And I feel like I'm not giving a lot of words to explain why I love it so much, but it's really good. It has this entire mythology with the spirits, the tall ones that came before, which is really interesting. This game is a must play as far as I'm concerned, for anybody who loves worlds in video games or who loves cultures in video games and stories. Because a lot of that is what this game is about. It's about the culture, about the characters, and the people. Not characters per se in the name of like you're going to learn a bunch of people's names. But as in, these are the people that went through this. This is what they were going and dealing with. This was their culture. But now they are gone. And you get this insight into a culture that no longer exists, into a people that have been completely eradicated. And it's really touching, in my opinion. I think it's really, really solid and worth experiencing. So from here, we're going to go into the spoiler section. And the spoiler section is basically just going to be, I'm going to climb back to the highest point in the game. While talking about what I like about this game with spoilers on. All the answers I needed on this little aisle. A path is only good so long as you walk it. Now I am content to just sit. Sit. Content. Oh, I love this game. All right, let's go. Spoiler section is go. You will no longer be able to avoid spoilers if you keep watching. I love flying in this game so much. I can't ever remember if I got all of the souls. I think I did, but we're going to talk to each of them. Yeah, and that's the cool thing, too. You're seeing the last final thoughts of people as they die. It's not like, well, these are messages they left behind so people could understand who they were. It's these are the last things they were thinking before they died. And I find that really potent. So, now that we're in spoiler section, which we only made it 4 minutes in almost before spoilers, but now that we're in spoiler section, let's talk about how good the story is in this game. The tall ones and everything to do with them, with the Eagle Mother and each of her children, that's already really cool. The idea of, you know, hey, there was an Eagle Mother who birthed all of creation and she had these children, which were the tall ones, and each one of them had governance over a different part of the culture, a different part of the world, and humans came to worship them eventually, and each of the tall ones had responsibilities that some of them didn't want, and they had to do it because the people were there to worship them. And then you have this guy, and at first he's called the Pathfinder, and he asks the question, why do we worship the tall ones? And he's given a really garbage answer, and he says, okay, well, that's not good enough for me. I want to know more. I want to understand. And so he pushes the issue, and they imprison him. And so then he's like, well, then these tall ones are not worthy gods if just asking a couple questions gets you put in jail. And so he leads a revolt. From a young age, he leads a revolt and offers a new path. A path without the tall ones, because he's going to kill them all. And you watch this young man who honestly believes, you know, the path that he set, slowly transition from a Pathfinder to a Godslayer. From a man who cared about his people, his followers, and those who were going with him, who led them justly and proudly to try and change their fate and free themselves from the shackles they had been given. And you watch him devolve into the Godslayer, who would sacrifice his own people for the sake of power. He becomes corrupted, and that corruption overwhelms him. Ready for the world the Godslayer will bring chaos. And you see over and over again, it was that world that killed them all. They could not survive in a world with the corrupted tall ones. Because the Godslayer didn't just kill the Eagle Mother and her children. He killed them and corrupted them. He turned them into monsters that would destroy the people that worshipped them before. And when you get the 100% in each area, there it is. You can find their corpses. The corpses of these tall ones that fought against the Godslayer but weren't strong enough. And they died, and their very spirits were corrupted and turned against the people that they worshipped. Because at that point, the Godslayer no longer cared about trying to stop the gods or the tall ones. He cared only about his own power. And it's this tragic tale of a man that eventually becomes that which he hated most in an attempt to make the world a better place. And of course, leading up to it, you have some incredible boss fights. You have to fight each one of these tall ones as you go. It's just such a cool world. It's such a cool story. I love everything about the way that it's told. Picking up the pieces. Especially because you don't start with the information about both characters as if they were the same person. You start learning about the Godslayer. And you start learning about the Pathfinder. And they're treated as two separate individuals in a lot of ways early on. But eventually you learn they're not separate individuals. They're the same person. Did I get that treasure chest already? I did not. And you get to see, you know, little by little, the change, not just in the Godslayer, but also in the people who follow him. And it stuck with me. It's a very powerful story, in my opinion. I like it a whole lot. See, from up here is where you would use your vision to see the spots that you hadn't conquered yet. I will say the world feels very empty. There's a lot of puzzles and a lot of souls to find. And the whole time that you're doing it, you're being chased by the corrupted tall one that governs the region that you're in. But the world feels empty, and it feels like it feels empty on purpose. In a lot of ways, like Shadow of the Colossus world feels empty. There are things there, but it's not a world people live in anymore. People used to live in it, but not anymore. And I think it succeeds in that. I think if you couldn't move as quickly as you would, that very small world would be incredibly annoying. Or that very empty world would be very incredibly annoying. But because of how quickly you can do this and get around, I don't think it bothers me so much. Especially because from up here, you can see everything, you know? There's a fort up there. that is where you get the big reveal with the Godslayer. We're going to move up into Area 2. That's not what I meant to do. Drop. I also think the different areas are visually distinct from each other in a really cool way. I think they did a good job with that. As you can see, we're going all the way up there, but we have to slowly cross through each area first to get there. And actually, we're skipping an area by going here first, but we can kind of cross over to it. Yeah, I think they did an incredible job with this game. I can't wait to see what they do next. I absolutely adore this game. I think the world is beautiful. I think the story is incredible. I think the movement is great. The combat's really solid. The UI is very minimalistic, as you can see. I almost wish it didn't say drop on the side there, you know? Because then the UI would be even more minimalistic. You just have the bar and the number at the top. But I especially love there's no mini-map. There's no side quest you have to do to proceed. You just need to do the basic stuff. You need to find all of your totems, I guess is the word for it, to be able to activate the boss fight while you're being chased by the boss. And that's kind of it. All you really have to do. It makes the world, while you're still trying to free the region, really dangerous and evocative because you're worried, you're scared. This thing is teleporting around, it's hunting you, it's after you, you know? And you have to stay ahead of it. But then once you've killed it and, you know, freed its spirit, then it becomes very peaceful in the areas. I think the world then becomes really calming and soothing. Aha, here's one we missed. I thought he would climb, but instead he floated high, higher, higher. Does he bring the cloud lower, or does it emanate from him? Much power emanates from him, from his cloud, and the lightning comes ever closer. There was another one up here, right? Yeah, but we read that one already. Where the Godslayer's curse was laid, even now I feel its power. So potent. Okay, that doesn't go any higher. Another cool thing that I haven't really talked about is the hawk and the relationship that develops between your character and, I say hawk, but it's an eagle. Between your character and the eagle. We'll go inside an area and I'll show it. But you spend a lot of time with this eagle. When the corruption is on the field, you have to clean the corruption off from your eagle. When you're inside a building, the eagle runs along with you. The eagle helps you solve puzzles. It really endears this eagle to you. And it makes the moments in the story where, you know, towards the end, the Godslayer corrupts the eagle and makes you fight the eagle extremely powerful. Because that's my buddy. You can't do that, you know? So, like, in here, eagle will hop around. Like so. Which is just really cool. I like that a lot. Alright, let's go to the next area. Nope. There's the next skeleton. I think it's really cool, too, how you can use the pulse to see if you missed anything. A nice touch. Also, we can drop right here, wait a couple seconds, and then we can flap up again higher and be able to go even higher. This game is just a treat. I think that in a lot of ways, it's exactly what I was looking for this year, and it's really funny to me that last year, Outer Wilds came out, and I played, like, the first impressions and almost didn't come back to it, and it was published by Annapurna. And then this year, I played the first impressions of the Pathless, and the game hard crashed my PS5, and I almost didn't come back to it, and it's published by Annapurna. But just like Outer Wilds, it's not only become one of my favorite games of this year, it's jumped up to one of my favorite stories just in media. I love piecing together a culture that has been crushed by this person they thought they could trust, by this person that had led them so far and then just turned against them. Yeah, we're not making it up there. Okay. We almost made it up. The music is also really good. You're not going to hear a lot of it here, unfortunately. That is one of my only real complaints with this game, is that after you beat the game, the music kind of dies down, because most of the music comes in during combat, and there is no combat to do anymore, which is unfortunate, because I think the music's really good. Yeah, this one, I took a screenshot of this one because it hits so hard. He went to refill the canteens, and when he came back, he was not my brother. Man I grew up with was gone from his eyes. He attacked me with such furor, like an animal. And you can see they killed each other. And he's saying no while he's doing it, because the water was corrupted, and it brought the corruption to them. It's just, oh, it's so potent to me. So potent. There's this part of me that wants there to... That's so, like, it's a small complaint, but I want there to be more. I want to find more lore. I want to find more stories. I want to explore more and find more puzzles. I'll probably wind up playing it again sometime in 2021, because I really did enjoy this game, and I just want to do it again. It's such a good game. And I know this is a weird start to the road to GOTY, because we normally start with games that I have a lot more things to say other than just, it's good. I really like the story. I really like the world. But the Pathless is a very special game to me from this year. And so I wanted to give it its due first. And then we will get into some of the other games. It's not my current game of the year. I have 2 other games that are vying for that spot. But it is still very, very good. I think it's time to go up to the last region. And then we will call this Road to GOTY. Following this, of course, we'll do our usual Road to GOTY. We'll do stuff that, you know, is contentious with me. Games that I didn't finish. Games that I did finish. The usual things. So if you've never been a part of our Road to GOTY on the channel before, I expect a lot of videos of various games that all came out this year. But if you have... tell me in the comment section down below what games you're excited for the most that we'll cover for the Road to GOTY this year. Almost always, we cover first games that I've already beaten, and then come back and cover games that I almost beat or that I dropped, or anything like that. Let's get up to the last area here. Show it off before we call it. Another soul over there too. I missed with that arrow because I didn't charge it all the way. Oh. We did already talk to this one. Do not see a warrior staring back at me. So the rainwater's cleaner than the groundwater, and I suppose it is, but does that mean it is clean? I thought I heard an animal over here that's crying in pain, but dealt with the corruptions. Might have just been me hearing things. There are animals that you'll have to cleanse the corruption out of. And other such puzzles that you have to solve over the course of the game. Here we go. And this is where you go into the final area, the final region, really. This game's so cool, man. Look at how evocative this is. We could fly over, but we're going to take the tunnel because it looks way cooler. When I first saw this running in a trailer for this game, I didn't think it looked very cool, but I actually really like the way that you run in this game. Mountain Tundra is the final zone. It looks so cool. Another thing that I really love about this is you can then turn around and just go all the way back. You can just fly all the way back down where you just came. If you want to. It's just a thing you can do. Why not, right? We're going to go up here to the top of one of the eagle statues. Call it. Again, for anybody who's never been a part of the Road to GotY series on this channel, it really is just me talking about games that I loved this year and games that I didn't love this year. With reasons why and why not. And as always, when I talk about things I love, I have fewer understandable reasons to explain why, because most of the time I loved them for very subjective reasons. Whereas when I don't like a game, it's normally for a gameplay mechanic or something like that. Oh boy. Don't slide. No! Okay, we got it. We got it. We saved it. We saved it. Fun thing, right before recording this, I had to fly all the way back down so that I could get the footage of going up so it would have a spoiler-free section. So in a lot of ways, this is really just me going back to where I was. Mountain Tundra behind. If we look over this way, there of course is the final boss area. You can look back down over all that we've come up on. All that we have climbed. This game's really good. I think everybody should play the Pathless. This game, incredible story, incredible music, incredible world, really fun gameplay. Definitely worth picking up in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the Pathless in the comment section down below? Until next time, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum with the Pathless to offer.